15 years ago, a powerful chairman of the business world kindly hired a lawyer to help a little girl on the street. He never imagined that single act of kindness would return to him 15 years later, when he was at rock bottom. Time flew by. His company's stock had collapsed, on the verge of bankruptcy and liquidation, and he was facing prison. He thought it was just his 2 adopted sons' inexperience that ruined the company. But to his shock, they turned against him, blaming him for their biological father's death. They claimed, if he hadn't approached their family back then, their father wouldn't have died in a car accident. So they had plotted for years to force him off the throne. Furious, the man reminded them of their ingratitude. He had raised them as his own out of brotherhood, but the sons mocked him, saying he was just a man who couldn't have children. The man was so enraged he had a heart attack. At the same time, his secretary got a call. Workers at a construction site were on strike, threatening to jump. When the contractor saw him arrive, he immediately put on an act, claiming the man couldn't pay wages, stirring up anger. The man desperately explained, but no one believed him. Self-righteous bystanders joined in the accusations. Workers lost control and beat him. The contractor even threatened to jump himself. With no way out, the man knelt down, swore with his blood, and promised to pay wages on time. He ordered his assistant on the spot to sell his car to cover wages first. Hearing this, the workers gradually remembered his kindness and chose to believe him again. But the contractor panicked. He had been sent by the adopted sons to stir trouble. Seeing his plan fail, he led the mob to vent their anger on the man, beating him unconscious. He barely survived thanks to a passerby, yet he had no time to rest. Court was about to begin. He had to find a lawyer fast, but the arrogant adopted sons had already hired the undefeated queen of law for 10 straight years, offering her $20 million in cash and a mansion worth hundreds of millions. They never expected the lawyer was the little girl the man once helped. To learn the truth, she accepted the case without hesitation. Meanwhile, the desperate man sought help from an old friend, but knowing he was broke, the friend mocked him, demanding $200,000 up front. The man smiled awkwardly and promised reward later. The friend threw his handkerchief on the floor, saying a beggar must act like a beggar. Humiliated, the man squatted and polished his shoes, only to be betrayed again when he reminded him that the entire law firm had been built with his investment, and that his friend had profited off his name for years. The friend exploded, slapped him, and raged. Why was it that no matter how hard he studied, he always scored a few points lower? Why was it that even in the same clothes, girls always looked at him instead? He had sworn long ago, one day he would crush him underfoot. In the end, the man swallowed his pride, and literally crouched down to be used as a stepping stool, just to get $20,000. But when he returned home with the money, he was shocked to find his adopted sons were trying to seize his house, and forcing him to sign the transfer of his corporation. At that moment of despair, the woman arrived. Her familiar face stunned him. He couldn't recall who she was. She revealed she was the little girl from 15 years ago. Back then, when her family was wronged, he had hired a lawyer for them. She never forgot that kindness. Now she was here to help him save his company. But the vicious sons, having never seen the Queen of Law before, thought she was just his mistress, trying to take a share of the inheritance. They prepared to teach her a lesson. At the critical moment, she pulled out her lawyer's license. They scoffed, thinking it was a fake printout, and even set it on fire.